AITA for hiding my saving from my fiancé. I am not the original poster. That is you, good, sort 7315. They posted in r, am I the asshole? I fixed the spelling of fiancé. Mood spoiler. Happy ending. Less than. Original post. September 7th, 2023. I recently got engaged to my fiancé after 2 years of dating, and told her we should probably start looking at houses. She told me that we didn't have the money for a deposit on a mortgage. But I personally have a lot of money in savings. It's a little bit more than $160,000. My girlfriend was initially just shocked because it is a lot of money for a 24-year-old to have saved. I've been extremely lucky in life. After a couple of days she began to be annoyed at me. She felt like I was hiding this from her. I told her that I didn't hide it from her. I was just raised to not talk about personal finances with anyone other than someone you're married to. And I figured engaged is close enough that I'm happy to talk about it. I also said that I had actually used these savings to help her before. I've paid her rent a few times when she couldn't and paid a couple $1,000s for her dog to get surgery. She was still quite angry and has been giving me the silent treatment for the past day. My parents don't see the problem. Duh. Her parents understand my perspective but think I should have told her when we moved in together last year. None of our friends know because I don't feel comfortable talking about it with them. I've already asked her if we can talk about it when she's ready and she just said she'd let me know when she was. I don't think this is relationship ending. But I know she probably wants me to admit I was wrong. I don't think I've done anything wrong. So I'm asking you guys more so out of curiosity for what others think. Relevant comments. You moved in together and haven't talked about finances? Moreover, did you directly lie about it or conceal it? I never lied or specifically concealed it. There are moments where I probably could have brought it up but didn't feel it was necessary. When moving we discussed how we would pay for rent and other things. I make more money so I said that I'd take on more of the financial responsibilities. I pay for 3/4 of the rent and the groceries. Everything else is 50-50. Beyond just what we currently make per payment cycle, nothing else was discussed. We haven't spoken too deeply about finances beyond what we make per payment cycle when figuring out rent and all that. I was aware of her struggles before we moved in together, but that was more because she volunteered that information to me, and I assumed it was just her way of asking for help. On that same note, I discuss my wages with people, but I don't discuss my savings usually. Savings just feels more personal to me, and to an extent I don't want to be seen as bragging. Has she disclosed her finances to you? I know that she's not in debt. My help was often to keep her from going into even a small amount of debt because I know that even that can be life-ruining if you don't know how you're going to pay it off. I don't know specifics about her financials beyond that and how much she makes. Have you communicated about future plans together that might be impacted by money, i.e., kids? We have spoken about what we want in the future, but a specific timeline has never been discussed. To me, it's now that we discuss it. We've committed but aren't married yet. We know our wants line up and now we should be ironing out the details. How do you have savings? I've honestly just been super lucky. I got a job straight out of high school that let me work full-time, get paid, and receive a degree after 3 years. My parents let me live with them and paid for my food until I was 21, so I saved almost all of the money I made in those years, plus inheritance that I got from my grandparents. I was disciplined and saved, but without all those lucky circumstances I would never have had this much. This interaction. Commenter. Op. I don't think this sub is for you. You'll get a lot of sexist responses to your fiancé. Editor's note: many commenters called the fiancé a gold digger. At best. and it could ruin your relationship. I'm not going to guess how your relationship works, and you don't need to listen to anyone telling you stuff without knowing more about your relationship. Oop. We do unfortunately live in a world that teaches people to distrust women for the crime of being women. All of these responses, calling my fiancé a gold digger, or things to that effect, are making me much less confident that I did nothing wrong. If those are the people agreeing with me, I'm very concerned. Oop is voted NTA. Mini update in comments. September 9th, 2023. 2 days later. Commenter. Might she be reacting to having previously thought that his past generosity were big sacrifices for him, and she's now rethinking those situations and how Op presented them? Oop. My fiancé and I have started talking about everything, and I'm reading back over this post by myself just to see what everyone said. This comment is actually a big part of where I think our communication broke down. When it came to helping her with things, I always told her it wasn't a big deal, which I thought was me telling her I had the money and it wasn't harming me financially. She took it as me downplaying it to stop her from worrying. I never directly communicated that I wasn't going to be put out by doing those things, and that's 100% on me for being so flippant. Because I had all the information, my statements meant one thing to me. But I entirely failed to consider what it looked like to someone without that information. Update post. September 17th, 2023. 10 days from OG post. Update. AITA for hiding my saving from my fiancé. My fiancé and I have spent the last week talking a lot about this. We started talking about it the day after my post. There was actually a lot to talk about, because she had a lot of thoughts and feelings. When we started talking, I told her about the post very quickly. She was initially put out by me making the post, but after I explained that it was more for me to make sure I hadn't done something egregiously wrong and let her read through it at her own pace, she was more okay with it. Though I did warn her that a lot of the comments were making wild assumptions about her. After she'd read through my post, a few comments and my replies, we talked about it a little. The main thing we talked about from the post was the silent treatment. She was very apologetic, and let me know that it wasn't her intention to be giving the silent treatment, but can absolutely see that it would feel like that to me. She said that she was just struggling to parse through a lot of thoughts and emotions. Like I said in a comment, a big part of where our communication broke down was my flippancy when it came to helping her with money previously. To me, it was showing that I was able to do it without hurting myself financially. To her, it was me trying to stop her from worrying. Without the information I had, I can definitely see how she thought that. She had always just assumed I was only doing a little better than her. There was also a little bit of feeling bad about herself because of this. She's 26 and felt like because I was younger and had so much more, she had failed. I reassured her that it wasn't a reflection on her and that I had just been very lucky. She asked me how I got the money, and said that she was also concerned I had done something illegal to make it. I broke down how I saved the money in detail for her. She also expressed that she had already felt unworthy of me because I do so much for her. I reassured her that I did things for her because I loved her, and that hadn't changed. I also explained everything she does for me and how to me I feel like she does so much more for me. She was also worried about the power dynamic that this created. I reassured her that I didn't see us as any different and that what was mine, I viewed as hers. She also said she was worried about what else I was hiding from her, and I reassured her that I wasn't hiding anything. I told her she was free to look through anything of mine anytime she wanted. She told me it wasn't necessary and that it was an emotional concern, not actual distrust. Obviously, a week of reassurance isn't going to solve a lot of these emotions. We both already go to therapy separately, and she is planning on bringing up a lot of this to her. therapist by herself. We also decided that couples therapy would be a good idea. Not to repair our relationship because neither of us think it's broken, but to strengthen it and allow us to talk about the ways to most effectively communicate with each other. I understand OOP's fiancé's POV, but only because my friend's sister was completely flabbergasted to find out her boyfriend turned out to secretly be a medium-scale drug dealer and that was his main source of income. And they both got arrested. Poor girl didn't even know about all the money he had stashed away. The gold digger comments are wild. Clearly she's not a gold digger because she didn't know he was rich when she agreed to marry him. It's actually a good tactic for people to find out if their partners are in for richer and poorer. UPA's NTA for hiding savings attained through legal means would have been if he were concealing debt or illegal income. A sudden, massive amount of savings that don't match background or current wages would freak me out. My immediate thought would be, drug dealer. Healthy communication for the win. Once again, communication is important. Glad to see an update where it has a good ending. I get that about the accidental silent treatment. Some people definitely use it as an act of resentment and punishment. But for others it's about pausing the exchange so they can sort everything out on their side before engaging again. The trick is to tell the other person, this is my pause, not your punishment. Though, I think it is one of those nah situations. Maybe when moving in together to me is the point when talking about finances and future and that would be a good time to discuss savings and debt. But engagement is also a good time. It is also shocking to find out that your partner has a lot of savings. While it is positive, it can also affect the relationship. They are thinking about buying a house and now suddenly he has 100% of the power. I reassured her that I didn't see us as any different and that what was mine, I viewed as hers. I'm sure his parent will, quite rightfully, convince him to either be the sole or majority owner of the house and have a prenup to make sure she won't have right to it. And she should be concerned about that. How do you have savings? I've honestly just been super lucky. I got a job straight out of high school that let me work full-time, get paid, and receive a degree after 3 years. My parents let me live with them and paid for my food until I was 21, so I saved almost all of the money I made in those years, plus inheritance that I got from my grandparents. There it is. What adults talking to each other and having a respectful discussion about how they feel. I'm glad this ended well though. Is it just me? Or was Oop not crazy for not telling his fiancée about his savings? $160K is a lot of money for a 24-year-old and I feel like he was smart to keep that under wraps until they were engaged. We see money change people all the time on this sub. I feel like he did the smart thing. I feel like he'd be smarter to have a prenup too. That ending actually brought tears of happiness to my eyes with how mature and understanding and constructive it was. Which shows just how much this place has screwed with my head and lowered my expectations for human behavior. Is everyone going to therapy but me? That industry must be making an absolute killing. It ain't cheap and you do it regularly. I was just raised to not talk about personal finances with anyone other than someone you're married to. And I figured engaged is close enough. Am I the only one who agrees with his point? I remember seeing this one. Everyone and their mother were on about how, if she's not a gold digger, why did she get upset? Thinking face, it was ridiculous. There might be some buried comments. But I didn't see anybody pointing out that it's reasonable to be frustrated when your partner has been hiding something from you for a long time. OOP's fiancé seems to be a little naive here. He pays half her rent, 3/4 of the total rent, month in and month out, as well as Oops said there were instances where he paid the remainder of her portion. She thought he was only doing a little better than her. I would stress to her that your savings is not something you tell friends about. Ask her not to say anything about the amount you have in the bank to her friends or family. Wait, so she thought he was barely doing better than her and was actively taking from his meager savings to cover for her, yet was fine with him paying 75% of everything. How are you going to be a gold digger if you literally didn't know there was gold until you were engaged and preparing to buy a house? Make it make sense. People will bend literally anything into a reason to hate women. Nailed it. It was insecurity. Communication and a healthy relationship save the day. Love to see healthy communication.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AITA is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.